All right, so thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm so excited to have you in the webinar. So we're going to talk today about how you can find new customers on Twitter and Instagram. And I picked those because they're kind of the trickier social media channels. I think a lot of people have been working with Facebook for a long time, and you're probably running ads and boosting posts to find new people, or just connecting with your friends and helping them help move along your business through Facebook. So I really want to focus on Twitter and Instagram today. If you do have more questions about Facebook later on, feel free to shoot me an email. My email is lauren@betsybash.com. This session is recorded, so you can refer to it later. We'll be sending it out to everyone that registered for the webinar today. And if you want to tweet along, we're using the hashtag social media soiree. All of our social media events are called social media soirees because we think that social media should be a party and not a chore. So welcome to the soiree. My Twitter handle is Tweets by Betsy for our Betsy Bash account, and then my personal one is Lauren Ignited, so you can also include us in any tweets that you send out. And please follow us on Facebook. We are Betsy Bash and Lauren Ignited. All right, let's get started. There we go. Okay, so a little bit about me. I wanted to give you a little bit of about my background. So all of those countries in orange that you see right there, I've been to them. I've either lived there or I visited them. And so in total, that's 30 countries, which I'm really excited about. And I want to keep going to more countries. I've actually lived in 5, and I did that before I was 6 years old. So I lived in Southeast Asia and South America for the first time when I was 7. It was really an amazing experience. It's definitely shaped my life in more ways than one, and I'd love to talk about that sometime if you're interested. So, and then the logos that are kind of surrounding that world chart there, these are a little bit of the logos that represent my life and my business. So I graduated from the University of St. Thomas in Texas, in Houston, Texas, and had a double major in management information systems and business. And shortly after graduating, I got a job working in IT project management for commodities trading industry in Houston. As you can imagine, the oil industry is huge there. So commodities trading fit in perfectly. And I worked at Citibank. That was one of my biggest first jobs and led to the biggest parts of my career in that IT project management role. Also, part-time, I was working at Radio Disney, so I had a little side hustle. And I was learning promotions and branding and marketing, and who better to learn it from than Disney. So that was really fantastic until I realized I don't want to do this anymore. So I loving what I was doing at Disney, but I wanted to start something on my own, and that is when I launched Betsy Bash and Lauren Ignited, and that was 7 years ago. About 5.5 years ago, I left the corporate world completely and just started focusing on Betsy Bash and Lauren Ignited as my sole income, which was really freeing, really exciting, and a little terrifying, right? It's hard to be a small business owner sometimes, but it's been extremely rewarding, and I love every minute of it. About a year ago, I started a podcast called Chefs Coast to Coast, and this has been a really fun adventure as well. I interview chefs from Houston and Chicago and asked them about their journey, how they became a chef, what their biggest fail was in the kitchen, and a recipe that we can make at home. So you should definitely check it out. It's on iTunes. It's also on laurenignited.com, where I talk about my love for soul music and comfort food. So that's a little bit about my background. When I started Betsy Bash, it really started because I had this passion for building communities and a love for social media. And so people started asking me to help them with their communities. And the more that I did that, the more I realized that it should definitely be a business, and it's a huge passion of mine. So over the past 7 years, I've really been able to, kind of hone in on those skills and mold that love and passion into a business, into what is Betsy Bash today. All right, so Betsy Bash is not me, right? So my name is Lauren, I'm not Betsy. So who is Betsy? So Betsy is inspired by my grandmothers. My Grammy is my mom's mom. She was super formal, very etiquette driven, and did not take even a second to hesitate to let me know that I was doing something incorrect in the etiquette guidebook. So I grew up with that throughout my life, and it was good. It gave me a lot of structure and a lot of boundaries to know how to approach a situation and what the etiquette is for that situation. My dad's mom, however, Mimi, was a little more feisty. She was more the type to talk her way out of speeding tickets and give a little white lie here and there if it really helped move along the situation. And she really taught me to show up in the world and have fun and be sassy and be spunky. And, those two women taught me some very important things that really helped shape my life. And I think that it really translates well to business because you have to know the etiquette of the situation you're in and then also have a little personality while you're there. But specifically, I think it really translates perfectly to social media because every social media channel is so different from each other. And I think that's one of the reasons I have such a passion for it, because I do have these kind of two skills in my back pocket that really help with social media, right? Because when you show up on Facebook, it's very different than the community and language that you'll see on Twitter. Same thing with Instagram. So this is the methodology we employ at Betsy Bash with our clients, and what we like to teach our coaching clients as well. So here's a little bit about what our work looks like. BB's Cafe is a 7-location restaurant chain in local restaurant in Houston. And their community loves crawfish, like absolutely loves crawfish. So one day I was like, I really want to find a really fun crawfish meme to post onto their Facebook page. And so I found this one and I thought, oh my gosh, this is perfect. And little did I know how perfect it was. It got over 275 shares, over 500 likes, and a ton of comments. So they really enjoyed it. They really loved it, and it really resonated with them. And that's why it did so well, right? So a lot of social media is really just understanding your community and figuring out what they love, and how your business how it makes sense for your business to talk about those things, right? So here it's obviously an easy conversation because they sell crawfish. The top right video is a video that I took in Costa Rica. And it was just at this hummingbird garden, and it's been picked up and reshared quite a few times. So it's been viewed over 2,000 times, shared over 20 times, and reached over 70,000 people. And this was just me sharing my love for this adventurous time that I had in Costa Rica, but using a few hashtags because it originally came from Instagram. So that's a little bit about what our work looks like. And then in the bottom, this is a nonprofit that we volunteer time with. So Love, Hope, Strength is a US and UK based nonprofit that goes to concerts and festivals around the world, signing people up to be on the bone marrow donation list. And I had 2 people in my life affected by blood cancer that did not survive, and one that did survive. So it's a cause that's very close to my heart, and I want to help fight for it and get some more people on that list and get some lives saved out there. So I like to volunteer my time to help them with their social media strategy. And this is one of the ideas we had. They were having a countdown to a big event that they were having in Denver, which is where their US headquarters is. And so we had the co-founder, Mike Peters, do a little intro video on what they were going to find out and what they were going to see at that big event. And it did really well for them. They were able to get over 300 views within about an hour. So that was really great. And I think if we looked back at it, it would definitely have more by now. So clients, we've worked with, we talked about BB's already. And then Hot Pets is a grooming salon in Houston as well. And they're really this adorable concept where they come up to your house in a mobile grooming salon van, and they just take your pet for a spa day and then return them back to you. So it's really easy for you and really fun for the pet. And then these are just a few of the other folks we've worked with. Igenie actually lives in Paris, so that was really fun. I got to speak with her over video conferencing, and hopefully one day I'll get to visit her in person. And then Amy is also a digital nomad. She travels around the US, dog sitting. That is her lifestyle. And then she also has a business where she helps coach people through being more joyful in their life. And then Wordapalooza is a brand new business. They're launching a card game for vocabulary nerds. So if you are in love with words, you should definitely check out Wordapalooza. All right, with every social media soiree, we like to give you an etiquette tip because Grammy would be very upset with me if I didn't. So today's etiquette tip, I want you to focus on hashtags, but I want you to go easy on them unless you're inside Instagram. With Instagram, you have the opportunity to use up to 30 hashtags per comment. So when you leave your description, You can also add in 30 hashtags, and I want you to get as close to that as possible each time you post something that you really need eyes on. You need to think of every hashtag as a road that leads to your post, right? And if they get to your post, then they have the opportunity to connect with you and maybe even see more of your post if that one was particularly engaging. So try to get to as many as 30 as possible, and use variation as well. For hot pets, for example, I have one set of hashtags that I use when I'm posting about a dog, and one set of hashtags I use when I'm posting about a cat. And we'll just use the cat for example. So I have, hashtag cat, hashtag cats, hashtag catstagram, hashtag cats of Instagram, right? So you get the point. So that's part of the way you get to 30 different hashtags. That's just your little etiquette tip for the day. All right, so we're here to find out how you can find new customers on social media, right? So this is really the four-step process that I see that you need to cycle through to really connect with people and entice them to become a part of your business's community. So first, you have to find a reason why they should be interested, right? You need to find a shared interest that you both genuinely share. It shouldn't be a contrived situation. You shouldn't fake your way through something. People are going to figure that out very quickly, and that will do you more harm than good, right? You don't want to leave a negative taste in someone's mouth. And then once you find that shared interest, of course, you have to reach out to them, right? But you want to do it one-on-one as much as possible so that they can get that personal connection. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to do that in a little bit. We also want you to provide value, right? So why are you there? What are you offering them that would make them interested in your business, right? It's not enough to just tell them what you do. You need to provide something that makes sense for them, that's going to help them along their journey as a business owner or a consumer. And then, of course, you have to follow up. Just as with a friendship, right? If you haven't seen someone for 3 years, it's a little harder to start that conversation than if you'd just seen them last month. So if you haven't talked to someone in a long time, it's hard for them to remember who you were, especially on social media when they have so many different people talking to them all the time. So you want to make sure you're following up with them in a timely manner and in an engaging manner, and certainly not stalking or harassing anyone, but you want to just keep that conversation going just as you would with a friend. I think, one of the biggest things that people ask me about is, how do you relate to people that you don't know, right? Well, if you just think about it as if you met them in person somewhere, you don't know that person either, right? But it's probably easier for you to connect with somebody in person than it is for you to connect with someone online. So just start thinking about it as if you're looking directly at that person's avatar. Remember that there is a person on the other side of that computer, on the other side of that avatar, and that might just help ease your mind a little bit about the whole situation. Okay. Cool. So let's get moving right into it. So finding a shared interest. So how do you do that? So there's tons of ways, especially on Twitter and Instagram. So here's a few that let's say you go to an event, right? So I recently went to an event for a launch party, and they had a hashtag for their launch party. So now I can go to Twitter and to Instagram, type in that hashtag, and immediately I'll see everybody that was there that posted on social media. So I know two things. I know one thing that they're interested in that I was also interested in, which was this launch party. And I know that they like to be on social media because they took the time to post about it while they were there. So event hashtags are a really great way to start that conversation. All right, I'm just going to check in really quick on, okay, yep, oh, sorry. Oh no. There we go. So yes, so event hashtags are a really great way to do that. So anytime you go to an event, make sure that you know what the event hashtag is. So for instance, today is social media soiree. You've also got Twitter chat. So this is a new concept to a lot of people. So I'm just going to briefly talk through it. So a Twitter chat is essentially a designated time. It can be a weekly situation where every week at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday, the Twitter chat happens, or it can be monthly, or it can be, whatever rhythm the organizer of the Twitter chat decides. But it's always specifically planned, right? It doesn't just happen randomly. It's planned ahead of time. There's a moderator of the Twitter chat that will send out questions to everyone that wants to participate in it. And then you respond back with the answer that the moderator asked. And then you also talk on the sidelines with people that answered things or people that just joined. So it really becomes this big conversation and essentially like a little networking, event on Twitter. They're really great because they can be organized around topics that you or your customers really love. One of the ones that we love at Betsy Bash is Sprout Chat. And they always talk about social media questions, and it's run by their community manager, and it's a really good time for us to just check in and just geek out on social media for a little bit. So what I would do if I were you is do a little Google search on Twitter chats that are in your industry and find the ones that fit your schedule. Try to make one a month and just make a point to be involved with it. So one thing you'll need to feel organized and to not feel too chaotic is a way to search for a hashtag and let that feed keep updating. So there's lots of features like that in any type of scheduler that you have, like Hootsuite or Sprout Social. They'll have that feature where you can do a keyword search. So just make sure you've got that pulled up. If you're just using Twitter, you can pull up two browsers or two tabs. So you've got one tab that just shows the Twitter feed for that hashtag, and then one where you can really kind of type and plan your comments out. I think that helps kind of separate what can feel a little chaotic if it's your first Twitter chat. So that's the second one. And then also like holidays and national days, right? So if a holiday or a national day that is particularly important to your industry, then you definitely want to make sure that you're connecting with people that are using those hashtags, especially the day of, right? So if you're Portillo's and it's National Hot Dog Day, guess what? You better be on social media talking about National Hot Dog Day, right? So just keep those in mind. And then there's also, you can just Google for those national days because they can sneak up on you. Like Monday was National Tequila Day. So I don't know if you saw that one or missed it, but they can sneak up on you if you're not ready for them. So keep, do a little research ahead of time and jot them down so you know that they're coming up, so you can plan something really fun, especially if it pertains to your business. And then with all of this, you're going to want those keyword searches. So if you find something that makes sense for your business, like National Hot Dog Day or National Tequila Day, or maybe it's, hashtag boss ladies, then you want to keep that as a keyword search in one of your Twitter, in one of your schedulers, so that we can do that in Sprout Social, we can do that in Hootsuite. Just find a way that makes it work for you, that you can reference it, right? Because you want to take the beginning steps out of the equation and just focus on what you need to do for the day-to-day. The other tool that is really great to find a shared interest with people that you don't know is using Twitter lists. So quick primer, a Twitter list is a way to organize a series of Twitter folks, right? People on Twitter. And how, with whatever methodology you want to use to gather those people. So they do not have to be followers of your account. You don't have to follow them. They're just a list. That's all it is. It's just a list of people that you can look at whenever you want to look at that particular feed. So for instance, I have a Twitter list of people that are sharing cool news, right? So it's the local newspapers, a lot of the local celebrities, the local news channels, and it's a really great way for me to connect with the community very quickly, because I can go to Twitter, pull up that list, and all I'll see is the news, right? So if I'm looking for a news article from Houston today that I want to be able to share on my social media, I can go to that list and very quickly find that. So it's easier than sorting through or trying to remember the hashtag or trying to remember the handle for that particular news station, right? It just makes your life easier. But you can do the same thing for events that you've been to. For instance, when I went to Podcast Movement last year, I created a Twitter list of all the podcasters that were there, right? So now if I ever have a podcast question, I can reach out to that list, look at it really quickly, respond to someone there that I know would be able to help me, right? So, spend some time to think about Who are you trying to reach and how can you find them on Twitter, right? So if you're trying to reach, let's use hot pets as an example, um, people that live in Houston that own a dog, then you can do a keyword search on dog. You can geolocate it to Houston. And then when the results come back, you can look at those profiles and say, okay, this person actually has a dog and they look like they're pretty active on Twitter. So they'd be a good prospect, and you can add them to your Twitter list. And then you can check that Twitter list every day or every other day, see what people are talking about there, and then start connecting with them, which we'll talk about in just a second. So a couple tools that you can use to do this. We've already talked about Hootsuite and Sprout Social, but you can also use Follower Wonk, which is a great Twitter tool. Hootsuite also has the geolocation search, so we kind of touched on that a little earlier with the example about people with dogs in Houston. You can use an app called If This Then That, and it's essentially like having a robot in your pocket, and you can say, if someone tweets with this hashtag, put them in a Google list, right? So if that's just a really great way to have everything at your fingertips. And there's plenty of other things that can happen on If This Then That. Just kind of poke around on it. It's a really great tool to use for social media. And then just the basic hashtag search on whichever scheduling platform you're using, or just native Twitter and Instagram. An additional tip I wanted to share with you is that you can search Instagram by emoji. So I don't know if you knew this yet, but you can search, which is really kind of fun. So if you're in the wedding business, you can search by, the ring emoji or the girl with the wedding veil on emoji, right? So that'd be a really great way for you to find people that are super excited about their wedding. And then all of this, except for the Twitter lists, is going to apply to Instagram as well. So I'm going to pause really quickly just to see if anybody has any questions. So if you do have a question, go ahead and type it into the chat box for me. Maybe just a couple seconds to type that out if you do have a question. Okay, cool. So far, so good, it sounds like. All right. All right, so now that you've found this list of people, right, you found your tribe, so to speak, how do you start that conversation without feeling awkward or stalkerish, right? That's another fear that people have, is like, oh, I'm stalking people. Well, you're not really. I mean, you're not being creepy, right? Because you started with a shared interest. You didn't start with just, some kind of creepy intent. So when you reach out, you've already got that primer of like, hey, we were both at this event. I'd love to talk to you more about this hobby that you have. You want to look at who they are as a person, not just who they could be to your business, right? And so if, let's say, I found somebody at the hashtag that was using the hashtag of the event that I was at, a couple of days ago or last week, whatever, and I look through their profile either on Instagram or Twitter, and I see that they, recently went to Nashville. Okay, and I go, oh, I was just in Nashville in February. Did you check out, the Bluebird Cafe or XYZ location, right? And so you're starting a conversation based on a shared interest that's not super salesy, right? So it doesn't feel offensive or stalkerish or kind of out of the blue, right? So you can do this by leaving comments. You can do this by responding back to somebody on Twitter. You can also, of course, you want to follow them if it makes sense for them. If you don't want to follow them, just put them into a Twitter list so you can kind of keep track of them and keep that friendship going. You can share their messages that they're putting out. So maybe they have a really cool business that you also want to support, right? Even if they would be a great client, you also want to support their business. Share their messages. So share what they're doing for the world. That's really going to make them feel good about what they're doing, and and help you build that relationship. So you can, if you're, you can share it on Instagram or you can retweet it on Twitter. You can also direct message them, right? So if you have something that you wanted to say to them one-on-one, you can leverage that direct message as long as I think they're both following you. I think that's still the rule. And then, if you still can't find a way to kind of connect with them, maybe what you can do is invite them to something that you think that they will enjoy just based on their profile. So let's assume you're both in the same city and you've both been to the same event, right? So let's say the event was a food-related event. then you might know about something else coming up in the Chicago area that's at the hatchery or something like that. And you can say, oh, there's this really great networking event. Did you hear about it? And just send them the link, right? So you're starting that friendship, you're starting that connection, and you're doing it one-on-one. You're not doing it with the mass comment of like, hey, thanks for the follow. Please check out my website. Hey, thanks for the follow. Please sign up for my newsletter. You're not doing something so generic that they're going to feel like it is generic, right? You're doing something very personal, and that's what makes the difference. So again, I just want to check in really quick, make sure that you guys don't have any pressing questions. So if you do, go ahead and type it in, and we'll be sure to answer those before we move on. I will add here that on Hootsuite, they have a really great feature where you can tab in Hootsuite based on a keyword for Instagram. And then the really great thing about that is that you can leave comments pretty quickly. So because you can type into Hootsuite what you want your comment to be, that's a really great trick, versus doing it on your phone where sometimes it can get a little cumbersome. You might get lost in the menus or something like that if you're searching a hashtag and then going to profiles and coming back. It can get a little clunky sometimes depending on how long you've been using Instagram. So if you prefer, Hootsuite is a good option to be able to type type on a laptop instead of through your phone. Okay, so we're going to move on. All right, so once you've connected with them one-on-one, you do want to provide them something of value. So we started hinting at it in the last line about inviting them to an event, right? But there's plenty of other things that you can do here. You could give them the tip of the day. So maybe, if I wanted to start doing it, I could do an etiquette tip of the day, right? Right now, I just do them in my soirees. So you guys are very lucky that you get to be a part of that, and I'm lucky to be able to share it with you. But you could do that. You could do a tip of the day, right? Or you could also provide them value through your blog posts if it makes sense, right? So if if you follow them on Twitter and then you find out that they're asking a question that you wrote a blog post to answer, even a year ago or months ago, you can still share it with them because it should be evergreen, right? If it's a kind of a generic question. So, leverage your own content. If you have blog posts that answer a question, look for people that are asking that question, right? And then reach out to them one-on-one, help them understand it one-on-one, and then they'll become your friend on social media. You can invite them to another event, right? So you can keep that strain going, right? So people like to know about what's going on in the city around them, and a lot of times people don't have time to keep up with it. So if you become that kind of friend and resource that knows when the networking events are, that's a valuable thing. I have a couple people in Chicago and a couple people in Houston that if I ever know I need to go somewhere, I know that they'll have the answer. So it's always good to have extra friends like that, even if you are already pretty aware of what's going on. And then, for sending them something that they will love, this is really more about them as a person, right? You could send them blog posts that you didn't write. They could be from Inc. magazine or Entrepreneur magazine, something helpful to help them through their business or their day. But you could also send them something funny, right? So if you know that they have a dog and they live in Houston, and you know that it's let's say a border collie, right? You could send them this funny video of a border collie doing a fun trick, right? Hope your day is going great. Here's a fun video, or something like that, right? Or maybe they tweet about they're having a rough day, so you send them the border collie video to cheer them up. Just think again, like something you would do for a friend, right? Because there is a person on the other side of that keyboard, and they're human too. They have all the emotions that we do. And then a lot of times I like to include people in conversations. So like if I know this person has a border collie and I'm talking to somebody else about a border collie, then I'll CC them, right, in the tweet. So I'll just do a CC : their handle, and then they get to jump in on that conversation and participate if they want, right? But the feeling is they were included and they were thought of, and they were thought of on a very personal level, right? Whereas I wouldn't know that unless I had really looked at their profile and taken the time to figure out who they are as a person, not just as a prospect. All right, I'm going to take a quick moment to check in. If you've got any questions, go ahead and type them in. Another thing that you could do is refer them to other Twitter accounts that you think are funny or other Instagram accounts that you think are fun, right? So you could, with Instagram now, you have the ability to share posts to Messenger within Instagram. So you could share a post that you think is really funny or really beneficial for them, really motivational for them, right? And that's another way to do it versus Twitter. Okay. And so the last piece of this is the following up, right? So keeping that friendship going and maintaining that one-on-one feeling, right? So at some point when it makes sense, you should ask for their email, right? You should ask to get connected outside of social media, and then make sure that it's okay with them that you put them on your email list. And then find a way to offer them something that makes sense for their business. If you know that they would really benefit from a particular event that you're throwing, or an event that you're speaking at, or a class that you're teaching, make sure you personally invite them to that. They're on your email list, so they should receive the email that you send out to everyone. But why not invite them personally, right? It's going to give that personal touch, and then if they're not able to come, you'll know one-on-one why they can't come, right? Instead of just not seeing them register, but seeing them open the email. That's very impersonal. And then you want to just continue that conversation until you find a good fit, right? And maybe you won't. Maybe it'll become a friendship and it won't become a business relationship. But if you work all these steps, you should have plenty of business relationships that come out of it. Okay, so this is the final slide. So we've moved through it a little faster than in an hour. So we're giving you back some time today on your calendar. And I just want to know what questions you have. So it can be questions about today's presentation. It can be questions about social media. It can be questions about social media strategy. And if you do have social media strategy questions, I have a great event coming up for you on August 9th. It's going to be at Hummingbird Studios here in Chicago. It's a really cute studio space. We're limiting it to under 10 people, so it's going to be a very intimate workshop, and we're going to work with you one-on-one to build your own social media strategy calendar. So it'll be a really powerful class. You don't want to miss out. Everybody that's come to these has loved them, and it's going to be on August 9th. So you can find out more information on bit.ly/soiree August of Aug9. I guess I should say it like it's written, right? Okay. Well, it sounds like I have answered all your questions. If you do think of something afterwards, you can tweet at me or send me an email, lauren@betsybash.com. And I hope to see you on August 9th. I would really love to have you in class. I think it's going to be really fun. And please email me about your thoughts on today's class. As you work through these steps, let me know if they were helpful, or let me know where you got stuck, right? I'd love to be able to help you along with that journey as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming. We hope to see you on the 9th, and have a great rest of your day.